In his 2023 book, Goth, Lowell Tolhurst shares that Expressionist art had a huge influence on the band in the early days. But if colors, lines, and brushstrokes are the tools of the visual Expressionist artist, what are the tools of the audio Expressionist artist, right? How do we get the same themes we see in visual art put forward in music? Well, in this video, we're going to read a little bit from the book, 2 paragraphs, to see what he had to say. And then I'm going to propose the 3 things that I think are the tools of the musical expressionist. And that would be a Moody intro, a Doomy undertone, whether it's a bass line or other kind of riff, and, of course, layers, atmospheric as all heck, like we love from The Cure. I'm Erin, this is Newish Wave. Thank you for watching. I would love it if you shared your thoughts on this video in the comments, what these tracks I mentioned mean to you, and subscribe if you'd like to. We're going to begin by reading from page 214, and I'll put some images up on the screen that show the kind of art he's talking about, and maybe be thinking to yourself, what albums or songs from The Cure kind of fly into your brain as you hear these words? I thought of quite a few just listening to the way he talks about the influences of this artwork on their work. Okay, so Expressionist artists applied their subjective lens in order to present images of the world radically altered by emotional experience. You know, to tell you the truth, the first song that I thought of when I first read that was All Cats Are Gray. And that is not something he talks about right here. But I think that the songs on faith and pornography, as he does mention, capture a lot of this emotional landscape, right? Okay, the meaning of these pieces is found in the transcription of these individual emotional states. And here's my favorite line. The expressionist artist builds on inner psychic landscapes to craft works that have more to do with an interior rather than an exterior world. That is a lot of why I love The Cure. The paintings of artists such as Egon Schiele exemplify this. Schiele's portraits transform his subjects into fragmented, tortured semblances of human beings. The inner chaos he felt is shown in the painful angles and lurid colors of his paintings that influenced the works of later British artists Lucian Freud and Francis Bacon. And then Lowell goes on to say about their own work, The Cure, it is only appropriate then that the cover of The Cure's most extreme and emotional album, Pornography, should bear more than a passing resemblance to a Bacon painting with its violent slash of colors. The image on the outside is a signpost to the meaning of what was found on the actual recording of the album, the lyrics and the music, portrayed by the brutal and intense cover. So one of those, I think the central theme there is that idea that the inner landscape is going to be communicated to us, whether that's through a painting or through a piece of music. So let's look at those 3 tools that I feel like The Cure uses to bring these emotional states forward for us all to connect to. They feel familiar to all of us who've gone through some of this melancholy and maybe love a doomy thought here and there. Okay, number 1, we're going to start with that introduction, and I'm going to just reference briefly here the introduction of Pornography, which is 100 years, right? That album starts with the song 100 Years. I think the intro right away shows us the way The Cure uses moody introductions to get us into the scene, right? To start creating that atmosphere like we see in a painting. So let's just listen to a couple moments here. My high-tech approach in this particular example. This is right when you start the album, you hear this, right? I'm already starting to be like, whoa, something from the inside is coming out. Okay, 2 other parts I want to talk about, and we're going to do the keyboard for this next one, which is Doomy undertones, a bass line or otherwise. I'm now going to excerpt from the piece, the song Cold, also on Pornography, which I think has a little riff that really captures the darkness and the mood that we're putting forward here. And it's done with only 2 chords. So when we get back, I'll have a little theory on why those 2 chords felt like enough in that moment. All right, so that was a brief excerpt from Cold, and you might have noticed we heard kind of 2 sounds happening with the left hand there. We had 2 chords going on the whole time, B flat minor and G minor, and what I think is interesting here is that 2 chords were enough for this riff. It switches back and forth between a 6 chord and a 4 chord. We've talked briefly, here's a little reference, about the shape of songs, how they often use 1, 5, 4 chords, and that 1 and 5 sound very much like calm and like we're home and like everything is okay. A 6 and a 4, those are both questioning chords in my mind. And so we have this back and forth 6, 4, 6, 4, where we really never get a sense of peace. And that's what keeps this moving forward and really adds that expressionist angle. All right, for the last tool of the musical expressionists toolkit, I'm proposing that it is layers. And we'll look at a track from All Mixed Up, The Drowning Man. That is from Faith, Not Pornography, but right before the album Pornography, right? So we can see some of the same influences. The Drowning Man is already a wonderfully layered piece, but in this single, they go for it even more. So in a moment, we'll meet over by the record player on the other side of this wall. Before that, I just want to share, there were 2 other videos referencing this book, if you'd like to check them out. First one on alienation themes in our world, but also in The Cure's music. And secondly, on existentialism, a philosophical approach that really influenced their work and that has come forward in a few other pieces. So thank you so much for watching. I'll meet you over at the record player, and we'll close out with a little bit of The Drowning Man from this All Mixed Up single collection. All right, so we're hanging out by the Klimt painting, which is apropos because apparently he was an influence on Schiele, which Tolhurst just mentioned in the book, right? All right, let's check out this track a little bit. The layers are even more exciting than usual. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.